Okay, so this video right here is to help you with the homework for today. So practice number 5 of the FRQs. So this is slope fields and then revisiting Eulers. So you've already done one similar to that. And then part D as well with concavity and under and over approximations. So that will just be kind of a reminder. So my guess is they won't actually ask you to sketch a slope field on your test this year because that would be cumbersome if you were doing it by hand and then uploading the photo. But I'm going to go ahead and do that because it is possible to ask you to sketch a solution curve perhaps or, slim, but I do want to kind of remind you of that in case they ask you some sort of vague question about slope field just to kind of give you that idea. Okay, so let's go ahead and take a look at what we have. So they're giving us the differential equation dy over dx is equal to 2y minus x. So that is our slope. So that's an equation we would not be able to solve by hand because we would not be able to separate those variables. And so they are asking us to sketch the slope field for the 9 points indicated. So we'll do that first, and then we'll do the second part to part A in a bit. Okay, so let's start with, so I'm going to set up a table. This is not something you have to do, but it gets you started with things. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do a table here, nice and straight. Okay, so you have your x, your y values, and then you have to calculate your slope. So you're going to use your derivative for that, and so that would be 2y minus x. So I'm going to just start with, any point. So I'm going to just start with the origin, so 0, 0. And so then my slope would be 2 times 0 minus 0, which would be 0. So then my slope at that point will be 0, so that would be a horizontal tangent. So I'm just going to do a blue line there. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and do the next ordered pair. So let's do, say, 1, 0. So then my slope would be 2 times 0 minus x, which is 1. So that slope would be negative 1. So I just need to make sure that I have a negative slope, so it's going down, right? And then the rest of my slopes will be relative to that. Okay, so I'm going to keep just doing some random points. So let's say I do the next order pair, say 1, 1. So then that would be 2 times 1 minus 1, or 2 minus 1, which is positive 1. And so then at the ordered pair 1, 1, I'm going to have a slope of positive 1. So it's going to go in a positive direction, about the same steepness as my other one. It doesn't have to be perfect, so just relative to that. And then let's do the ordered pair, maybe 0, 1. I'm kind of jumping around a little bit. So then that would be 2 times 1 minus 0, so 2 minus 0. So 2 minus 0 would be 2. So at that ordered pair, I would need a steeper slope than my other positive slope. So I'm just going to kind of make it like that. And then I'm going to just keep doing that. But I'm just going to go ahead and work it out and really not talk through it at this point. But you can kind of watch to see what I'm doing from here on. Okay, and then I'm going to give myself a little bit more room here. And then I'm going to just keep going on with that same kind of T-table and just get those last couple points. And I could look for patterns to kind of help me out as well, right? But I'm just going to go ahead and just plot in all of those points. And that one is really steep relative to everything else, but that gives us a general idea. Okay, and so then the other part that they asked us to do is to sketch a solution curve. So we're looking for some sort of function that originates at the ordered pair 0, 1. So over 0, up 1, so that would be this graph or this little point right here. And then from there, I'm just going to follow, the way that the slopes flow. So I know that it's pointing up and to the right, and it gets steeper as it moves to the right. So up and to the right and gets steeper as it moves to the right. So we're not playing dot to dot, we're just kind of following the flow of that curve. And then when I take a look to going down and to the left, so I'm going to go head down and to the left, and so something like that. Okay, so again, are you following the flow of the curve? You don't have to go dot to dot. Okay, so for part B, I'm not going to actually solve this. I'm just going to give you some reminder ideas and tips on what can you do to find a y coordinate. So for a local minimum, so a local minimum is the same as a relative minimum. Okay, so let's start with that. So we know that we have a relative minimum when the derivative is either 0 or undefined. And for this particular problem, the derivative can't be undefined because I'm not dividing by anything. So the derivative has to be 0, right? So the derivative has to be 0 at that local minimum. And then I know that if I were doing sign analysis, so just kind of remind you about a sign analysis, if I look at f prime, I know that wherever that critical number is, so there's my, we'll just say C1, my critical number, in order for that to be a minimum, the f prime needs to be negative and then turn positive, right? So that means if f prime is negative, f is decreasing, so f would be decreasing, and then f would be increasing, and that occurs every time the derivative was equal to 0, okay? So what we're given is that we have a minimum, so we know the derivative has to be 0. And then if you were given an x or a y value, you can solve for either one, right? For this particular one. So in order for me to find the y coordinate, then we would be given that x is equal to some particular number. We don't know what it was. And then so we have that bit of information, and we also have this bit of information over here that the derivative has to be 0. So that means that given that original equation, we know that the derivative has to be 0. We are given an x value. So the only thing left to do is to find that missing y value, okay? All right, and then let's take a look at Euler's method. So just to kind of remind you about this. So I had quite a few people ask me about how the points were awarded. So that was one reason that motivated me to assign another Euler's method. So I taught you using a table, but there is like another way to do it using your tangent line approximations, but that can get kind of cumbersome. And I prefer kind of the graphic organizer of a table, and that's why I teach it that way. But you still would be awarded the same points, even though that's not how they describe it. Okay, so let's go ahead and remind ourselves a little bit about Euler's method again. So we know that if we had a derivative, that would be about equal to the approximation, right? Delta y over delta x, provided that we're working with small increments. So then we know if I want to solve for delta y, and so I multiply the delta x over, I would get delta y is equal to the derivative, so dy dx, and then times whatever that small increment was, which is delta x. So then when we set up our table, so delta y would be equal to dy dx. So for this particular problem, that was 2y minus x. And then times our value for delta x. So I don't know that yet, so let me go ahead and figure that out. So we're given the ordered pair, so f of 0 is equal to 1. So when x is 0, y is 1. And we are starting at x equals 0. We're doing 2 steps, and we're headed up to 2. So our first step then, so 2 minus 0 is 2, and then divided by 2 is 1. So our delta x is going to be 1. And that will get us up to 2, right? So 0 plus 1, and then 1 plus 1, and that gives us to 2. So our delta x is 1, so we're going to multiply by 1. So I know that finding that x value is easy, right? We're just adding delta x. We don't have to do anything fancy for that. So what we have to find then is our delta y, and that's what this over here is for, right? It finds me that delta y value to add to the previous y. So I'm going to do 2 times the current y, which is 1, minus the current x, which is 0. So 2 minus 0 is 2. So that is my delta y, and that's what I'm going to add to 1. So I'm going to add delta y here. So 1 plus 2 is 3. Right, so I'm adding delta y to that. And then I do the same thing again. So, but now I'm going to use the points I just found, right? So now I'm going to use x equals 1 and y equals 3 into that delta y equation. So that would be 2. Whoops. There we go. Let's do that again. So that would be 2 times the value for y, which is 3, and then minus 1. So 6 minus 1 is 5. So there is my next delta y. So 3 plus 5 is 8. So again, I'm just adding delta y to the 3. And then that tells me that f of 2 is about equal to 8. Okay? All right. And then part D. So we talked about this in one of the other FRQ practices as well. So we're just going to do just a couple reminder tips about things. So what does the second derivative have to do with concavity and tangent line approximations? So just a reminder for second derivative, so that when you find the second derivative, that is how you find concavity, right? So concavity, all that information comes from f double prime. So if f double prime is negative, so less than 0, then your function, right, so f of x is concave down. And so that is something like, looks like that. And then if f double prime is greater than 0, then f of x is concave up. So it looks something like that, right? So if we have a tangent line approximation, so meaning if I have, say, some sort of tangent line over here, maybe even over here, doesn't matter where it is, right? Versus on this graph over here, concave up, tangent line here, tangent line here. And Euler's method uses tangent line approximations. Like that's what we're doing here, right? So we're using tangent line approximations with Euler's method. So if I look at my concave up graph, right? So if I look at this tangent line right here, it is always above my graph. And if I look at this tangent line here, it also is always above my graph. So if we are concave down, then our tangent line will always be above the graph, other than, of course, the point of tangency. Then that means my approximation has to be greater, right? My approximation has to be greater. So my approximation of my function will always be greater than my actual value, okay? And that's because the graph is above. And so then the flip of that is true for concave up. So if I take a look at my concave up, so this tangent line right here is below my graph. This tangent line right here is below my graph. So if my function is concave up, my tangent line approximation, which is below the function, has to be smaller than the function. So it would be an under approximation, okay? And so those are just a few reminders before you get started on the FRQ to kind of jog your memory, okay? And that's it.